Inside Blitz Week 12. NFL season is scooting along, and I've got back problems today, but I'm feeling better at the moment. I just don't want to move. How are you guys doing? I'm here with Ted from Ted Sobel Sports and Ron from Ron Ace Sports.
Doing good and doing better than your back, unfortunately. Please take care of that for the next several minutes. Ron, week 12, let's give kudos where they're due as Las Vegas Chris's Detroit Lions, for the first time in the history of the universe, are favored to win the Super Bowl. A sitting ovation for him since he's got a bad back.
It's clapping seal.
Yes, exactly. That's pretty impressive stuff there, Cris. Does it matter? Absolutely not, but it certainly sounds good in week 12, doesn't it?
You know what? It's just nice that it's legitimized, that It's not just some pipe dream of a Lions fan, so to speak.
Yeah, I could verify that because there was some separation, as I wrote in the Wager Talk article, with the power ratings. Detroit is 2 full points above everybody else right now.
2? Wow.
Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah, I've never had a higher rated team on my objective model since I started doing the model. And I am aware that DVOA, since they've been doing theirs for 30 years or something, have only had 2 higher rated teams. And the last one was like early 2000s.
Well, thank you for stressing the word objective, because that's very important in this case. That helps a lot. But look, the Lions are just outstanding. They've done everything that asked of them and more. So good for them. Now the main thing is stay healthy and keep doing it when it matters. That's all that matters. Coach is on the way out, guys. Has Peterson, has he accepted our call yet? He was supposed to come on the show today, and if he wasn't still working. So I guess Doug Peterson is not on the show.
Yeah, how did he keep his job?
That's a good question. I have no idea. But he's in a bye week, so one never knows. They could be saying bye any minute to him in the next several days. Who knows what's going on over there? Eberflus and Zach Taylor, other guys that are getting a little shaky there. What do you think on those guys' situations? We'll hear from Zach in a minute. I spoke to him after the game against the Chargers the other night.
Yeah, Eberflus needs to make the playoffs, which is possible in that division. Indy is a funny team. They're not highly power rated, but they are certainly in the playoff mix.
Eberflus.
I personally think Zach Taylor is safe.
And mostly because the team is cheap and they wouldn't spend an extra dollar on anything if they didn't have to. That's part of the equation.
I would disagree with that. I mean,
well,
that was the
they're the cheapest team in the league.
I think that's been the perception for a million years.
It's perception because it's true.
Well, we can agree to disagree.
No. It's true. Facts. I'm talking about the way they spend money is facts.
Okay. Next subject.
Okay. Well, what does that have to do with Zach Taylor as far as why you think they would keep him? Because I don't think he's done a bad job, but when you lose a lot of close games, that's an issue.
I mean, other than wide receivers, because wide receivers bitch about everything on every team, I think he has support of the locker room. I think he has support of Joe Burrow. I mean, the offense is doing fantastic. Some of their draft moves defensively and losing Jesse Bates a couple of years ago didn't work out. They certainly need to add a pass rusher. That's been a weakness for them. But in general, they do a good job of succession planning. Not every draft pick works out. We think they might. They've generally been in the top 10 to 15 of my draft ratings. So I don't think you'll pull the panic button here.
No, I agree with that totally. Any thoughts, Cris, on Cincy or Chicago's stuff?
Well, it's not the coach's fault that they were left without a running back. They didn't fill that need until week 10.
Money is the reason.
Well, yeah, and then they are constantly battling injuries, and they don't spend the money, and they telegraph that they're cheap bastards. And Wiggins already basically Didn't they say this week that Wiggins basically is going to be gone?
T. Higgins, you mean?
Higgins. Not Wiggins. Higgins.
Yeah, but I'm okay with spending the money for T. Higgins elsewhere because he's not on the field enough. When he's on the field, we saw what he could do. Monday, he was really, really good. But he's just not on the field. I just don't want to spend that kind of money in an organization for somebody who's going to be available half the time.
Okay. Let's talk a little bit about the teams in the bye week real quick. Atlanta's lost 2 straight. Buffalo's won 6 in a row. It's always the weird timing. Do you need the rest, or you want to just keep on going, specifically after the big win over Kansas City? And happy 99th birthday to Marv Levy. How's that guy? 99. And he's still looking for that 5th chance to go to the Super Bowl. And
he's
get
just like Bitcoin. Bitcoin's at 99 also.
1999, the year 99 retired, Wayne Gretzky. Never forget that year. How about Jacksonville's lost 2 straight? Again, you guys didn't say, is Peterson gone for sure? Is he coming back before the end of the bye?
It's probably 60-40. He's gone before the end of the bye, but it's 99.999 that him and his friend McCarthy in Dallas won't be here for 2025.
Well, you gave them actually pretty good odds. You gave them 1/10 of a nothing percentage to come back. And New Orleans.
I just spoke about Eberflus before because I was mixing him up with Indianapolis. You were talking Bears.
Right.
He's on life support.
Exactly. New Orleans has won 2 straight, and they go straight to the bye with their interim coach. And the Jets taking advantage of the bye, getting rid of their general manager. Quick thought on the end of the Joe Douglas era. And, boy, you can't fault their roster for not looking good. The last time I checked. Go ahead.
I think we're at the end of the Rodgers era also.
Well, yeah, at the end of the bye week, he might be, who knows, he might be back with the Packers as the 3rd stringer. Go ahead.
Yeah, if they win that game against Indy last week, I think Rodgers has a different mindset, says anything's possible and so on. But I can't imagine Rodgers is opening his playbook right now and getting excited about week 13. Joe Douglas was okay. There were times that he was very efficient. The issue right now is coaching. I mean, nobody believes in the interim coaches. Nobody's doing anything for the good of the team. They're kind of now thinking about themselves and their futures.
Yep.
Well, the owner is the meddler. I mean, he's destroyed this team from within.
Yeah, he's a bad dude. He's screwing up everything. All right, and the other team on the bye is Cincinnati. We're going to talk about them now because I got them post-game after their tough loss again to the Chargers on Sunday night. All over that game. I was running back and forth from locker room to locker room. Chargers blew a 21-point lead as Cris is texting me at the game. This game is over. They're I'll never forget that great text there. And I said, it's a little early, Cris, and you were on the button.
I was positive when they scored, when they went down, when they were leading by 21 and they gave up that first touchdown, and and I was positive they were going to give up the lead. And I texted you right at that point. I go, I cannot believe they blew this game.
Yep. Yeah. And that was before they even, I think they were still up by 14 when you texted me. Right.
It was easy to see.
Yes, exactly. Well, but remember, they survived 2 missed field goals. 2. Cincinnati would have won that game, but 2 missed field goals really killed them. I got a chance to ask head coach Zach Taylor afterwards. So many tough losses heading into the bye week. Let's talk about this, baby. How about the timing of all this?
I can't. I wish I could. It's a team we believe in, a team that believes in each other. It's sick the way that these games are ending and the way that we feel coming off the field every week. The feeling I got when I got to talk to the team in the locker room after all these endings this year. What I just keep telling the team is at some point this has got to help us. At some point we got to find some momentum and we got to get on a run and we got to find ourselves in a good position where we reflect back and we don't ever want to use a loss for good, but it's got to help us in some way. We've played some really good football teams, and we just got to find a way to finish it. And I keep saying that, and obviously We're a play away every time I say it, but I still got the confidence that we can get this thing done.
As badly as you need to put the streak together, how does the bye week fit into all of this equation now, and how you want to regroup?
Just gives us a chance to be healthy. There's not a lot of wholesale changes we need to make. Every game we lose comes down to the last play of the game. We just got to find a way to win these, and generate some momentum for ourselves. And so, bye week, get healthy, and then come back, and we've got a huge divisional game at home, and got to find a way to create some momentum for ourselves.
That's the key words right there. Got to find a way. Got to find a way. Haven't found a way yet. Thoughts on that real quick, guys?
Not much. They've dug themselves a pretty big hole. They're capable of putting together a win streak, but I don't think it's going to be enough.
I didn't like his attitude. He seems kind of helpless. He seems to think things are, hey, we're doing the best we can sort of stuff, instead of this is a great opportunity for us to, improve, take a look at things and such.
I totally get where you're coming from.
Randomness is working against them.
Well, I think if you saw him say it, you wouldn't feel the same. That's one of those where his sound and the way he acted to us, I think, is a little bit different. So, that's a TBD whether they get it done or not. In the meantime, Joe Burrow walked in the room afterwards. I was hoping to get a few private minutes with him and talk about the loss of John Robinson, one of his early mentors at LSU last week, but as their PR guy said, this is really bad timing. He's not going to want to talk to anybody. And I said, no problem. But I did ask him about the bye week situation.
Joe, a lot of times late in the season to have a bye week coming up like this, teams would rather have it a little bit earlier. How does it fit now, and with what you guys need to do from here to regroup?
Yeah, it's tough one to end on going into the bye week. I prefer to go and play, but it'll be nice to get a little break. We always appreciate the fans. They're a big part of what we do, and we'll always appreciate the support. Hopefully we can come back from the bye and get a win at home.
There you go, real quick. He had a lot of quick answers. He wanted to just get the hell out of town and go back to Cincinnati when it was all done. Okay, Ron gave me an assignment. Go find T. Higgins and talk to him somehow. And I did. And fortunately, there were a few other people standing around so I could grab him real quick. And let's just say the word frustrating came up about 75 times in about 12 seconds. But I asked him about those one-score losses.
It's down to a win or a loss. Everything else doesn't matter. But the way you guys are losing, does it make it so much different from a frustrating standpoint? Or
to be honest, man, it's frustrating. It is. We're losing by 3, 6, 7 points. That's frustrating. Like I was telling him earlier, man, we just got to finish. We finish, we'll be all right. I don't think we need to change nothing. We're playing hella good football. If you look at the stats, both sides of the ball, I feel like we're playing, like today, we play hella good football. You know what I'm saying? Man, it's just, I don't know what it is, man. We just got to finish, bro. That's the word. That is the word for the week. Finish the fucking game. You know what I'm saying? So, as long as we do that, we'll be all right. You know what I'm saying? So, we're going to look past this one. Obviously, it's a tough loss. Hats off to those guys over there. I ain't going to discredit them. They played a hell of a game. We just got to go back, figure it out, and come back next week, 2 weeks, and finish.
Finish. Maybe they should move to Finland. There's a lot of finish going on over there. So, your thoughts on T. Higgins? By the way, Ron, I did say to him, I didn't want to ask him, but off the air, not recorded. I said, I'm wishing you a lot of luck in your next contract, sir. You're earning it. And he says, "Oh, I really appreciate it." He goes, "Let's get this season finished."
The comments like you're putting up there, Joe wants to cry and stuff like that. I think, Ted, if a tough assignment for reporters is to get audio from a team just off such a tough loss when the season is slipping away. They don't want to be there. it's hard to ask those questions.
They don't want me there either.
Yeah. I mean, it's really a tough situation because deep in their hearts, they know they're a playoff team. Now, whether that's true or not, because there are areas of the team that are underdeveloped, like we talked about defensively, but Joe Burrow is a superstar in this week, and he continues to put up great numbers with and without T. Higgins. But this is a tough space to be mentally for the team.
Absolutely.
I think really the difference between Cincinnati and the other teams, when you really look at it, is the coaching.
Well, I don't know. I mean, I'm not so sure Zach Taylor is the issue here. Look, they still don't have a great offensive line. They don't have the running game. So what the hell's he's got to do with what he's got? And I think he's doing decently. They're close games, and that's the NFL. You're going to lose close ones and win close ones, and they're dying because they keep losing them. I don't think it's all his fault.
No, and their defensive coordinator was so well regarded, so we don't know if maybe it was because he had great players before that or because he has such young players now.
Yeah.
But we'll see after the bye if the defense stiffens up because they need that defense to play a lot better.
Oh, yeah, no doubt, especially in the first half. Hey, and thanks, Bertie. I appreciate the comment. Bengals center, former center for the New England Patriots and Mr. Brady, Teddy Cris, a guy I've known for a handful of years. He's come on my show a few times. I got him one-on-one afterwards. We had a nice little chat in front of his locker, and I said, give me 2 minutes here. So let's hear from Ted Cris.
Does it matter how you lose if it happens several times? Does it affect you differently? Because a win is a win and a loss is a loss.
Yeah. Not me personally, no.
Okay.
Yeah.
You think as a team, though?
I think we got some pretty resilient guys in this team. Obviously, this is, the ultimate what if 11 games. So, that's disheartening. But, football to me, one of the greatest parts about it, knock on wood,
yes.
Till they kick you out. I mean, you get to line up and do it again. So I'm very thankful for that always. I'll never take that for granted. We got the Pittsburgh Steelers in 2 weeks.
Yep.
So, not a lot of time to lament.
How about the bye week, though, the timing of it? A lot of guys just hate it this late in the season, but is this maybe a blessing in disguise?
I love a late bye week.
You do?
More than an early one.
Because? Well, not too early either.
Yeah. I think week 10, week 11 is just about right.
Okay.
Give your body a vacation.
Yeah, well, put some weight back on. That's a big one for me. So
Okay.
I got always bye week for me is always like a 5-pound weight gain week.
Right.
So
Thanksgiving time is always a good time to do that too, isn't it?
Just being a 315 pounder, my body's not made for that.
Right.
I'm not a naturally 315 like a lot of guys are.
Yeah.
So I try to use that to my advantage, especially late in the year. When you've been grinding for 3-4 months now.
Right.
To have a break at this time obviously would have been glorious had we pulled that out. But again, we got to do what we got to do, and that's lick our wounds a little bit and get ready for Pittsburgh Steelers.
Right. And the number I saw up on the board, they said it's a 10% chance now you guys can make the playoffs. So obviously zero room for error.
Yeah, well, there's been zero room for error, but I'll take 10%, Ted.
It's better than zero, right?
Better than zero. You're not eliminated. I'm like Lenny Kravitz, man. It ain't over till it's over. Crazy.
Safe travels. I appreciate it.
All right. Teddy Cris, great guy. He'll take 10% over 0%. Whatever works, boys. Anyway, we're done with the Bengals, but let's hear from J.K. Dobbins of the Chargers, who beat them on that run where I'm still waiting for somebody to tackle him. And he gave a great explanation on how he scored. And by the way, he said, congratulations, Cris. I did that for you. Go ahead.
Yeah, so before when we called the timeout, I went to the sideline. Well, first, Bradley Bowman was like, F it, go score. I was like, all right, I hear you. So I went to the sideline and asked Coach McDonald, I was like, you want me to score here? He said, F it, go score. So I knew I was going to score. Like when we lined up, I just had a feeling I was going to go score. and that's what happened.
With Justin, I mean, the way he's been playing the past few games, how impressed have you been with that?
Start the MVP. Start the MVP talks, man. Start it. That's how impressed I am. Start the MVP talks. I love him. He's a baller. He's a leader. He's the ultimate leader. You know what I'm saying? He's a warrior. He's a beast. Like I said, start the MVP talk, man.
You go from Harbaugh to Harbaugh, right? So has there any talk in this room like we would not have won this game before? You weren't here before. But any talk about like, hey, there's a little extra magic going on right now?
Nah, we don't talk about the past, but there is magic going on for sure. You know, Coach Jim Harbaugh, he's a magical guy. He's different. He's unique. I love him. You know, and it's great to play for both of the guys, both John and Jim. You know, and I'm glad I get to play for him.
Finding a way to win. I mean, that's all that matters.
Yeah, that is all that matters. That's all I want to do is win a game. I don't care how we do it. Let's win a game. It's showing that the culture here is relentless. That's our culture. We're relentless. We're tough. We got a great brotherhood. It's something special going on, you know, and that's all thanks to Coach Jim Harbaugh and Joe Ortiz. Joe Ortiz brought me here, so Joe Ortiz he's a guy who we're all here because of him.
Okay, that's J.K. Dobbins, now of the Jim Harbaugh era, before with John Harbaugh when he was getting hurt all the time in Baltimore, and he's been really healthy and fantastic this year. By the way, Joe Ortiz is the general manager, the new one for the Chargers, who when I turned around, he was standing about 50 feet away. I walked over to him and said, I just want you to know J.K. thinks you're the greatest guy who ever lived. And we had a nice little chat. But anyway.
I still think he should have gone down at the 2-yard line.
Why?
You know what? And I found out afterward they said that on the broadcast too. I think Collinsworth said that you gave them a chance to come back.
Yeah, Collinsworth was surprised. Obviously, if you can set up for a 19 or 20-yard field goal, that's probably the right thing to do.
You actually lose full control of the game in that situation because you gave them enough time to come back and score, and I'll bet you they would have gone for 2 in that situation.
Absolutely.
So you're not looking at, okay, if we score, they can send it to overtime. You're looking at it as we're giving them an opportunity to actually win the game.
Right. But as you guys know, that's not usually the number one thought in the person's mind when they're trying to be as elusive as possible and get to the end zone. So it doesn't always work that way in the timing of the game. But anyway, not trying to give him an excuse, just being real.
Well, it was nice to hear him say that he actually was aware of it, apparently, or else he's covering his own ass and saying he asked ahead of time.
No, I think it was pretty much where the guy just said, you're going to score. That was more of a confidence thing than it was, what you should do, that kind of thing.
Okay.
But anyway, are the Chargers ahead of schedule?
Oh, of course they're ahead of schedule.
Right. But because of
the change in coaching, because of the change in tackling, because of the attention to the offensive line with Joe Alt, because of the kind of players that fit Harbaugh's system, such as a Ladd McConkey, who's not a Neighbors or a Harrison and all those big name first 5 picks in the draft wide receivers, but he's a guy who does the dirty work, the stuff you don't hear about, the stuff you don't see in the box score.
Right. Of course, I didn't mean, obviously, because of coaching, but I meant more, are they ahead of schedule even with Jim Harbaugh?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we'll get to them a little bit more when we recap what their situation, their next game is. But let's talk about tonight's game. First real weather game, I guess, huh? In the 30s, rain, snow possibility, 16-mile-an-hour winds. Hey, welcome to Thanksgiving-ish. You got Pittsburgh against the Cleveland Browns. Russell Wilson 4-0 in starts. Should he be 5-0 tonight? No problem.
I don't think it's no problem. You know, it's really interesting. If you look, I heard a commentary this morning on Tomlin's approach, and if you look at Pittsburgh, I believe they've won well over 20 Monday Night Football games in a row. Is that correct, Ron?
I don't know if it's well over 20 or right about that number, but I heard something about that for Mondays.
So basically, they're a team of routine, and they have an abysmal, and I was kind of unaware of this. I don't know how bad of a record it is, but they have an abysmal Thursday night football record, and then they are what they are on Sunday, and they're much better on Mondays. So Tomlin traditionally has basically not changed things up for the sake of the league and these streaming games. And he understands that the team cannot be perfect. Nobody's going 17-0. You don't have to go 17-0, and you don't disrupt your process if you don't have to. And, basically he's operated in that facet of, well, we're going to do what we're going to do, and hopefully it works. So it hasn't worked on Thursday nights, and he doesn't seem to care.
Yeah. He has no Alex Highsmith tonight, which is never a fun thing. Didn't know if they expected to have him or not, but they're facing Jameis Winston, who's off a big statistical game, but another loss.
Yeah, I mean, he's always the X factor because he's kind of a volatile quarterback for sure. But if you look at the matchup, it's another one of those smash mouth kind of games. At least Cleveland wants to put it that way. And Cleveland's likely not going to make the playoffs, but there's nothing that they wouldn't rather do than to beat rival Pittsburgh. And I think they're treating this as a bigger game than Pittsburgh, unintentionally for Pittsburgh, because Pittsburgh comes off. What did I tell you? What did we say about this last week? They could play anywhere, Pittsburgh and Baltimore. They can play in your backyard. They can play, in the middle of the street. They can play, foreign country. It doesn't matter. It's Pittsburgh and Baltimore, and 1816 was exactly the way we would expect it. But to have to play on a short week right after that, all the fights that took place during that game, playing in Cleveland, psychologically, at least, it's a Cleveland advantage.
Right. But it's 8-2 against 2-8 tonight. So is the spread right?
No.
Yeah. Well, not to Cris, no.
You think it's right? According to
No,
your
the spread should be a little higher, of course, than BetUS did have it at 4.5 when we spoke on Tuesday. But based on the situation and the circumstances, I think 3.5/4 is a fair line.
And you have it what, Cris?
Oh, I've got it at too many to too little.
What do you mean?
I mean, it's maybe this line makes sense to the power rating people, but by pure metrics, it's as Russell here says, 6.5 is even low. So
Russell, probably this is your play of the year. If it's 6.5 and it's only, and you can do it at 3.5, you can have a lot of fun with that baby.
Well, but Ron is right. I mean,
no doubt.
Every single thing it works against Pittsburgh in this situation. It's a sandwich game between two important teams. They're coming off the big win. They're on the road, short week, shitty weather. They may just pack it in and not even care right away if things don't go their way. I don't think they're gonna. There's no way of telling.
Everything Pittsburgh said, their linebacker Myles Garrett and so on, shows 100% focus on this game. Yeah. But the game has to be handicapped in different ways. It always has to be handicapped in different ways. And a lot of this week for me is kind of how much is situational going to matter versus how much are the power ratings and how much are the cold, hard matchups. I'm okay with the matchup analysis in this game, but there are other games that I have conflict between matchup analysis and situational ratings or with power ratings. It's always a tug of war. And I think this week for me, it's really going to be interesting to see how much the situations matter.
I brought this up 2 weeks ago, and it's come to fruition, and I still haven't heard anybody in media mentioning it. Pittsburgh controls the number 1 seed. So that's a lot. That's a big incentive to get that number 1 seed. You don't want to be going to Kansas City. You don't want to be going to Buffalo. I mean, that's a huge edge if they can keep the pedal to the metal. So I think that's really a feather in Pittsburgh's cap tonight for that added effort.
Yeah, a Tomlin team's always going to try, but a game against Baltimore takes a lot out of you physically,
Right,
and mentally, for that matter.
How about
Well,
the
it's not like
total?
you played Detroit. Is there a team that has played Detroit that has won the following week yet?
Ooh, good question. Not sure.
I haven't researched that.
Nope. That's your next homework assignment. What about the totals on this game, guys? Is it still around 36?
It's
Ted
36.
and Cris, the answer is yes. Houston lost to Detroit
and beat Dallas.
Terrible fashion, and then they played minor league Dallas and beat them.
Thank you, Bertie. Yeah. So what about the spread here? This should have been the closer to the number for last week's Baltimore-Pittsburgh game, which I was the only one of us three who picked the unders on that one. Now I wouldn't touch it at 36. The other one, wasn't it like 46 or 47 last week?
I gave clients the under in that game. I like the under.
That's not what you said during the show, though.
Well, don't listen to what I say. Listen to what I mean.
I always listen to what you do. My ears are perked to what you do.
A lot of stuff changes between a Thursday and a Sunday.
Yes.
This is a weather number that got kicked down.
Okay. Thoughts on? Are you guys doing anything on the game?
Yes.
And that's it?
Oh, you're donating tonight?
It's a secret?
No, there's no secret. It was out on Tuesday. I mean, Cleveland is the play.
I'm going to be I'm on Pittsburgh, but without the points.
So, Ron, are you going to call Birdie and get 6.5? He said it's supposed to be that.
Russell.
Yeah, we'll work a side deal.
Oh, Russell. Okay. All right. You got, and how about the Chiefs coming off their game and going to Carolina? I mean, just a real quick thought on that. Is this time to are they in sort of cruise mode here? Another road game? Tough situation for them against a bad team that's playing better.
I would disagree, actually. I have a team-specific situation that's 21-11 against the spread in Kansas City's favor. I think the loss actually mentally resets them.
Okay. Well, I do agree with that. That's not what I meant when I said. What about you, Cris? Do you think that Kansas City's up to the task here to just take care of biz like they should as a double-digit favorite?
Yeah, I mean, we keep on hearing these stories of Carolina's getting healthier, and and as each week, rolls along, then you find out, well, this person's limited, this person didn't practice, and it never comes to fruition. I mean, they're playing better, but this will, Kansas City's going to win the game. I love them in a 3-team teaser, and the model says that they should even cover the 11. Which is a really scary proposition because I don't like that. But I have a feeling there'll be Carolina money that should roll in and bring this down to 10. But I'm not sure of that one.
Yeah, I'm curious what Ron's thinking as far as the spread is concerned, because you got that great situation for you, but you're not laying double digits on the road in this game, are you, Ron?
No, I have the line right at 11, so 10.5, 11 actually. So I don't really care about the game. I'm just want to counter any argument that the sky is falling for Kansas City.
Of course.
It's not. It was one game. It's almost a relief to get that out of the way. Yeah. I did not change Kansas City's power rating because they lost to Buffalo. I did not. And I heard other people say that they changed numbers. Well, I disagree. To me, that was expected. Buffalo was a very big play, and they were one score away from a 30-28 right on the number kind of situation. There's no adjustment that needed to be made. Kansas City is where they are.
I 100% agree with you because we called it before the game. Yeah. That's exactly what we thought would potentially happen with Kansas City. It wasn't out of the wheelbox. I mentioned. Yeah. Buffalo covered 40-plus games of teasers, and I think in Kansas City, this is a great opportunity for them not to cover a teaser, I think.
And when is it the end of the world you had a 15-game winning streak and you lose against a really good team? What the hell does that have to do with anything?
Nothing, but the media paints it in a certain, the media is the media.
Oh, there's the media again. It's like it's one person. I'm the media. I'm sort of a media, not the media.
Okay.
Minnesota, Chicago. Maybe some weather issues there. Possible rain. The Bears stink, and Minnesota's continues to find a way to win. Their record is really impressive, whatever is going on with them. The bad loss, though, by the Bears, is this the downward spiral where it just goes totally haywire for them?
It's dangerous, that's for sure, because Chicago's mindset is such that, wow, we thought we were going to contend in this division, and now the other three teams have left us for dust.
Yeah, but Caleb really had a good game last time, and do you think where do you think that goes?
Well, I didn't blame it on Caleb that last game. They didn't finish, as T. Higgins likes to talk about, but enough. But the way they lost was just they dominated the game statistically.
Yeah, it's about attention to detail, and that's why this coach is in danger. There was not attention to detail in terms of protection on the field goal. There was not attention to detail on how to use the clock the last minute of the game and to try to get a little bit closer. These are the little things that cause teams like Chicago to be with the record that they have.
Thoughts on the game itself? It's still around 3.5.
Yeah, it is. It was seeing 3. There is 1 3 minus a quarter. No, there's a couple 3s out there now.
Okay. DeAndre Swift. Anything new on him playing, because he has a groin injury? That just saying he was hopeful yesterday.
Yeah, I'll be waiting on Friday's report for that. It's another case of if I go down this week, and both for Cris and I, we've had some really exciting weeks lately. If I go down this week, it'll probably be because of situational handicapping more than metric handicapping, because the situation is actually NFL unfair for Minnesota.
Right. Yeah, we're talking, you guys mentioned it before, the end of their 3 straight road games, Chicago 3 straight home games. By the way, they had a couple of easy ones in there, though, too.
They did.
That helps. That helps a lot.
I don't know if it helped the way they finished those games. They had to expand a little bit more energy than they wanted to win.
Right.
12. I mean, they did everything. They practically tried to lose that 12-7 game against that first team. Was it Jacksonville?
Jacksonville, yeah. But part of that is also the Darnold turnover factor, which is going to be there no matter who you play.
And the Bears are adept at forcing turnovers. So they have that kind of a defense. And it will take a Darnold turnover or 2 for the Bears to get into this game and get their mindset right. I'm not crazy about the Bears, the way they lost and going into this game, but there's no excuse as far as body fatigue versus Minnesota road.
Yeah. Exactly.
This comment here where it says just can't convince myself to bet money on the Bears. Frankly, if I didn't have a model and I kind of saw how the Bears lost and they came back and they're making effort, I probably would be firing away on the Bears, frankly. They would actually be looking attractive to me. The statistically, though, these two teams aren't close. Right. I feel pretty, I got to be on Minnesota.
I like that it's a divisional matchup because you don't have to think extra hard. You play these teams, you play twice a year, same coaching staff and stuff. So I think that kind of helps get over that hump of how did we lose that game last week? Because, every loss is just going to – it's the non-divisional game. I don't know who Chicago plays next.
I have no idea.
But we'll tell you.
But they play
Detroit. They stay in division. They can't get out of their division, and their division is hard.
Yeah, and they're in trouble anyway, so it doesn't matter. Speaking of Detroit, they're at Indy. Sam Laporta, what's the latest?
He's playing.
Okay, good. So you come off a 52-6 win, no matter who you beat. You got to feel pretty good about yourself. Back on the road at Indy. any thoughts on the Colts keeping this a game?
Yeah.
Yes. Is that the answer?
Well, this is a complete anomaly to watch a team go through so many potential letdown spots, and they just come out, smelling like a rose. So obviously, we've seen this movie before. A team that wins, scoring over 50, huge margin, traveling on the road, laying a touchdown or more. I mean, of course, you've got to be a fool to back Detroit normally. But the numbers say that this line is actually short, so it's difficult to reconcile, quite frankly.
The attack of Anthony Richardson in this game. They're going to be charging him on every play. What do you think, Ron?
Well, there are two ways to look at this game. Number one, it is a dangerous game for Detroit versus an unpredictable quarterback, a non-divisional game. There's no real reason why Detroit should be completely focused. But the other way to look at it, and I don't think I've used this term this year, but I've used this, and Cris and I have used this in past years. Why do you want to get in front of a speeding train? Because that's what Detroit is right now. You're not going to make a lot of money betting against the number one power-rated team in the NFL. Could they slip this week? Absolutely. But in general, they're a well-oiled machine.
Is this a no play for both of you?
I hope so. I'm not sure because
I like the Lions to win the game, so I'll find ways to play them in that format. But
yeah,
I think that they're focused, and I think that they would be disappointed in themselves if they took the foot off the pedal. I think that their intention is they're very goal oriented, and they want to keep the flow going, and I think that they will. But I think we have not seen Detroit face a mobile quarterback like Richardson. So they've been vulnerable in past years against a mobile quarterback, but this is a new year. I'll be interested to see what happens with that.
Yeah, and they tipped their hand last year at the end. You remember game 17, they didn't have to play their starters, and Goff played well into the fourth quarter in that game, which was kind of weird because I had all kinds of first, second, third, fourth quarter situations. This is just the way they're coached. And they're not going to, they don't care what we think. This is the way that they think, and it's working.
Yeah. Let's go to the almost not quite frozen tundra of Lambeau Field. San Francisco's at Green Bay this week. Low 40s, so it's just going to be cold. Maybe a little bit of rain late. Probably not a factor in the game. The factor is George Kittle is back, and that's the factor.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
well, I think he's dinged up.
They missed him last week. They missed him big time.
Yep. And Jordan Love throwing a pick in all games that he started, all 8 this year. The longest since Brett Favre did it 10 times in a row in 2005. There are some similarities there, but one of them is not the fact that Favre should have known better at the time, while I think Love is still learning. And the key word with him is discipline. And he talked about it this week, that he's learning how to be more disciplined. Now, whether he ever learns, that's the big question.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
But you're always going to have to live with that one throw that he shouldn't have made. But you live with that because there's a lot of throws that he makes that are good.
That other guys can't make.
There's another thing Jordan Love said that I heard about today that I like on how he's approaching this game against San Francisco. They're still mad about that playoff loss, 24-21 last year, and how it slipped out of their hands. And they have had a very, very difficult time getting over the hump against San Francisco. So if you want to get over the hump against San Francisco, maybe this is the year and the week to do it, because San Francisco is a work in progress. They're not there either. As Cris and I discussed last week, we knew based on the line movement or lack of line movement that they weren't going to turn on a switch and just all of a sudden be San Francisco of 2023.
Right.
And I think San Francisco still has doubts.
Yeah, and Brock Purdy has a sore right shoulder. I don't know how that stands at this stage of the week, but a little added something that's a negative for them. They got way too many negatives going on, right? Their defense is not playing the same. They've got some injuries there too. It's not the same team. That's all. And maybe age is catching up in too many critical situations for them.
That game has the second largest spread between health of the two teams. So even with Kittle back, San Francisco is not deemed very healthy. I think they've got a lot more problems than just the dinged up guys that we see overtly. I just don't think their defense is just too porous.
Yeah. Is it still 2.5?
No, they've been betting down. They've been betting it down. There's 1.5 to 2. And I mean, when you really think about it, as you said, Ron, Chicago outplayed Green Bay last week. What the hell is wrong with this? I mean, I could have sworn Love, throws interceptions on his weeks off. Every time he gets it.
Well, he only had one.
These red zone turnovers are just keep on occurring, and you cannot keep on doing that. Favre threw a lot of picks, but they were essentially punts oftentimes. Love keeps on hurting his team, and that's a big difference.
Yeah, but you make it sound like he's throwing 3 or 4 picks a game. Most of the time,
he's still
it's
leading
one.
the league in interceptions.
Yes, he is.
Out 3 games?
Right, but he has 8 in 8 starts. He's averaging 1 a game, which is not great, but it's not the end of the world if you're winning. You can overcome 1 turnover. He's not throwing 3 picks a game. It's not.
Yeah,
like,
but he doesn't throw very often. Didn't he only have 17?
Well, that was only last week. That was just last week.
Okay.
No, he's thrown more than that. 17 was all he threw last week. It was 13 to 17, and I think it was 1 pick. So, look, bottom line with them is remember I interviewed them both several weeks ago when they were in L.A., both the coach and Jordan Love, and they all talked about it's all about playing cleaner. We play clean, we win almost every week. So that means they're a really good team, but it's not good if you're turning it over. I don't care who the hell you are. So that's what they got to do this week against a team that's reeling. Whether you love the Niners or not, they got issues, and that's not going to be an easy game for them to go into and win this game.
Yeah, I personally find it a very tough game to handicap.
Interesting. So you're not touching the game?
Not me. I don't know about Chris.
All right.
Yeah, I mean it's a cavalry game for San Francisco. This is do or die. I mean, you go to 5 and 6, you are what you are. I mean, they are. You'd like to think they're better than a 500 team. We're going to find out this game because they will. This is going to be a max effort game on San Francisco's part. I think that there's going to be a lot of pressure on them, and I think Green Bay's perspective is basically. Even though it's late season, they'd love to stick a fork in San Francisco, and they really need the win.
And San Francisco's chasing a couple of teams that are playing each other as well, in Arizona at Seattle, and that's the battle for first place in the West. What do you think, guys? Chance of a little bit of rain up in Seattle. What else is new? But the Cardinals off a bye. I'm not so sure that timing was great, winning 4 straight and having to have a bye. But, a rest this time of the year is good, too. So what do you think?
What was important is Seattle and their new staff having a bye. And that really was a good omen for them against San Francisco to reset, to really study the roster. New coaches are all, especially a very raw new coach, he got a chance to reset, and it showed something because I have Seattle as the more erratic team from week in to week out. Part of that is Geno Smith. Part of that is very little depth at linebacker. I mean, they've had some unfortunate injury and some trades and so on. Seattle has some weaknesses. They're trying to overcome them. This is just like San Francisco and Green Bay for me, a fascinating game that I do not personally feel like I have a handicapping edge.
And not only that, but isn't this basically the perfect matchup of two teams that you have no idea which team's going to show up every single week for both sides?
I have
Arizona's better.
I have said that, but maybe it's not true. Other people have been right and said that Arizona has. There have been people on Arizona, and I was neutral.
Yeah.
So that's why I feel I don't personally have an edge. You have to know when you feel like you're in the zone on a team. And it's not a team I feel like I really was that way. Other people have been right about Arizona. And James Conner, I think what his story is unbelievable, and what he's doing in the NFL has really helped.
He's the key to Arizona at this point, because when you have a healthy Connor, that really, really makes all the difference in the world for Arizona, because it gives them a multifaceted attack. And their defense, it's a no-name defense, but from what I understand, I heard Greg Cosell talking about it. The scheming is very, very good. They become much better defensively. They held the Lions to 20 points or something like that, or was it less than that? I don't even remember. So the line kind of tells you who's kind of supposed to win with the pick'em range. But, as Ron said, Seattle's out of the break. They got a chance to push the reset button. They had a nice come from behind win against San Francisco, albeit, how we don't know really how good San Francisco is. So I don't think there is an edge in this game. I think it's a real toss-up.
Yeah, real quick, too. I don't think hardly anybody talks about what Arizona's coaching staff is doing as well. I mean, it's sort of the unknown factor. Nobody ever talks about them, but whatever they're doing it right.
They drafted for depth. What did they pick up? 10, 11, 12 players last year. I didn't agree with all of the ratings, but I did agree that they definitely improved their roster in that.
Right.
Year 2 staff, I'll give them credit. I'm still learning about the staff personally. 6-4. We shouldn't fall to anything that they're doing.
Yep. All right, let's go to the back-to-back night games, which I'll be at both here in L.A. Philadelphia against the Rams. Interesting matchup there with the Eagles all of a sudden trying to make Sirianni look like a decent head coach. And I think the best thing Sirianni has done during their 6-game winning streak is maybe back off just a little bit and just say, let his coaches do their thing. And he's not Vince Lombardi, so he's not going to oversee everybody like he's the great CEO, which he's not. But credit whatever they're doing over there, because the panic button was out for the Eagles' future. Now all of a sudden they're a top 2 team in the conference again.
Yeah, I have. It is remarkable because Philadelphia over the past 5 weeks rate in the top 3 in offense and defense, and overall for the season they're back up into that top 5 somehow.
Yeah.
I don't know. I've got the banana in the tailpipe program on this one. So I think the only comfort that I get in this matchup is that I don't understand for the life of me why people like the Rams. They defensively have been actually improving. They were improving from one of the bottom 3 defenses in the league. So yeah, they're getting much better defensively, which gets them up to mediocre. So they look much better, but they've been number 32 offensively over the past 5 weeks. So they've had offensive problems, and they have had players back over that time period.
Right.
So,
but they've also taken advantage of tough situations. A cross-country short week win at New England, even though New England's not good. That's still, they took care of biz, and it's tough. So you come right back here. They got healthy receivers again, which is, the real key for Stafford. So there's some real positives there for the Rams too.
Well, there are, but they're playing lower tier teams, and they're looking okay. But I think it's going to be really interesting this week because Philadelphia realistically should roll over them.
Yep, and it's still under 3, right?
Yes.
You guys doing anything on it?
Well, I think you heard Chris's answer.
Yes. And
the Rams all over the Rams like white on rice. Trust me.
Right. I have minor edges in 2 or 3 areas to the Eagles, so it's not as pronounced. but
okay.
I don't have any edges for the Rams per se, other than the fact something's holding me back, saying that Stafford could have some success. I've seen the Philadelphia rookie DBs really exceed. I mean, I was high on both of them, but for both of them to contribute and help that unit year one right out of the gate has been a real help to Philadelphia's back end of their defense.
Okay.
Hurts is playing better. There was some talk that one of their wide receivers, Smith, I believe, is banged up a little bit for Philadelphia.
Okay.
And I talked about this a couple of times. There is a incredible gap between Philly's number 2 receiver and number 3 receiver who nobody could name.
Exactly.
So the biggest issue here is you have to make sure that both Smith and Brown play if you like Philadelphia.
Got it. Okay, let's go straight to the Monday night game to take care of time stuff here. It's Harbaugh versus Herbaugh is what I'm calling him, because Jim just loves Justin Herbert. So his name is Herbaugh from now on. I don't care what anybody says. He's the president of the Justin Herbert fan club. It's their parents. It's the Harbaugh's 63rd wedding anniversary. How's that? Pretty good timing.
Are they spending it in LA, or are they going across the country?
No, I hear they're in Florida with their daughter. So it's like, hey guys, you two boys, you beat the hell out of each other. I could really care less. In the meantime, let's hear from Joey Bosa, who I got some time with after the last game, and he had some really good takes on the great win over Cincinnati and what this team is doing.
Is there something magical going on in this room here? Just talk to JK.
Yeah, I mean, sure happy we won, man. That was a battle. They have a hell of a team over there that came out second half and, put us to the test. And it's been a lot of games through the years where we've been put in that position and came up short. So I'm just I'm proud of everybody, offense, defense, special teams, to hold it down even when things weren't looking great. Winning's what matters, and we pulled it off. I mean, I talked about it with the defense yesterday that there was kind of a lack of belief in being able to pull it off in those situations before, and there was just a feeling that, oh man, we're going to do something wrong and we're going to end up blowing the game here. And I just think that it's important to believe and just know that you're gonna make a play, whoever it is, to win the game. And yeah, I mean, blowing them out would have been nice, but I think it's important for our team to pull off a win like this.
So just a coincidence that you brought that up to the team?
Yeah. I mean, shit, I thought I jinxed us, but luckily I didn't. So last time I'm going to mention that, but I thought the message was received well with all the guys, and trying to do a better job, like I talked about on Friday, about being a vocal leader and talking from experience, because I'm an old man now and I've seen a lot of stuff happen. So yeah, I'm just happy I was able to keep fighting, and happy our team pulled it off. And it's hard to put your finger on it, but I mean, having Coach Harbaugh and having the whole staff, I think
this is key.
Has, shifted the culture here. And obviously when you start winning and you go through those experiences, especially like today, you just start building confidence. And I think you can't just have a false sense of confidence. You have to put in the work, and you have to go through hard times to build that. And I think we're doing it every week.
Dan mentioned that you said you feel something this season as a Charger that you never felt before. Did you say that to them yesterday? And what do you mean by that?
Yeah, I feel like we have a shot. Couple of years, we made it to the playoffs. I was hurt most of those years, or most of the games in those years, and we had a good thing going and all that, but it just feels a little different right now. Feels like if we keep doing what we need to and preparing the way we do and not getting comfortable and just continuing to improve every week. I think we have a shot at something special, and when coach and everybody kind of keeps grinding that into us and talking about it, I think we're starting to believe it. If we keep doing the things like I said and pulling off wins like this especially, I think everybody's going to start believing in it. And it's 1 week at a time, and one game isn't going to do anything for us, but I thought it was a big win tonight.
It's all about winning, but is there a way to put your finger on how you change the culture, the secret sauce, besides just W's?
Yeah, like I said, the coaching staff, I think they're doing a great job. He's won wherever he's been, and he had a really good plan coming into the season, and everybody's on the same page, every single coach. There's no pointing fingers. There's no, talking behind closed doors about, this coach, this blah, 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 this and that. Not that that was, really prevalent before, but, it's hard to pick one thing out, but I think through experience and hard work, it builds confidence.
Can you describe what it's been like playing for Jesse Minter in this defense?
Yeah, like I said, our whole staff is great. I think they're trying to bring the best out of every single one of us, and you really lock in when any of these guys get up in front of the room and speak, and I think we're all connecting. Obviously, going through stuff like this, we're just getting closer and closer, and this love for each other is really building. And he's definitely a big part of it, and I think that trickles down to everybody in the building.
Nice to have an extra day to prepare for the next one.
I need it.
And you go from some guy named Burrow to Lamar.
Yeah,
not too much easier.
No, Joe's a beast. Wish I would have got home a couple times out there, but I definitely hit him a few times, and he's a buddy of mine, and I'm proud of him and how he came back and battled, and he's obviously one of the best to do it. So going from him to Lamar is definitely a challenge.
And chasing him all over the damn place, too, right?
Of course, yeah. Joe might not be as fast, but he might be as shifty.
Got it. Thanks, man.
There you go. So that's Joey Bosa. A lot longer than usual, but he had a lot of good things to say. And it wasn't quite a one-on-one. That was Bridget Condon, who is a reporter for NFL Network. I had her on my show recently. She asked a few questions, too. Bottom line is, are the Chargers that good defensively, or is it who they've played? Because they've had a few easy offenses they've gone against during that streak of not giving up much, and they gave up 27 to Cincy, and a lot of that in the second half.
One comment, and then I'll throw that to Cris.
Okay.
What I got out of the Bosa interview is somebody who understands that it's playoffs. He's on a team that he can rally behind. I mean, everything is just different in terms of the way he's answering the questions. He's very comfortable. They know that. I mean, they may have had a playoff caliber team for the last decade, but first it was special teams, then it was coaching, then it was anything and everything. Yep. And now the parts are together. But the last thing you said, Ted, and so Cris can comment on this, is the style of Cincinnati and Joe Burrow and the style of Baltimore and Lamar Jackson, not perfect for the Chargers defense. What do you think?
I cannot wait to say for Bosa's motivational speaker tour after the season ends with all that high energy. Yeah. Boy, I felt like I just came out of a boxing match that maybe I fought Tyson or something. That he sounded beat to shit. But as Ron, you touched on, I agree. He's just going with the flow, and he's not going to be one of these guys that has the ups and downs during the regular season, because the playoffs are what matters. There was a question on the total. I would tend to think that this one has a propensity to go over more than under by quite a bit, because I don't think, to Ted's point, the Chargers kind of beefed up some of their stats based on playing worse teams. So we saw Cincinnati basically got a hold of them and just ran up and down the field. And Baltimore is a little bit stronger than Cincinnati offensively. So
right.
This game could get ugly scoring wise. But I think the Chargers have enough to score on their own against Baltimore.
All right. So spread is what? 3.5?
2.5.
What did it open 3.5 though?
Mostly 3. I don't think it ever was 3.5.
Oh, okay, I saw 3.5 online somewhere, but that doesn't mean it was there. My question is that the right number?
Well, my answer is no.
Okay.
But I understand it because of the level of competition, because Baltimore's off that loss. They have the extra day at least compared to Pittsburgh. They have a chance to reset. And this is a tiebreaker game, if you could believe it or not. If both the Chargers and the Ravens do not win their respective divisions, head-to-head matters. And so it's not just Jim wanting to beat his older brother.
Right.
It's the older brother knowing that suddenly this season is not going the way that it's supposed to go.
Right.
But I want to go back just real quickly to the 12 years ago when they played. I got to tell you, coaches get crazy in the red zone. This isn't just a Harbaugh thing. This is every coach end of game in the red zone where you have to pass, you have to pass, you have to pass. The last 3 plays from the 5-yard line in that game, pass to Crabtree incomplete, pass to Crabtree incomplete, pass to Crabtree incomplete. We know though that particular defensive coordinator was going to blitz on every play. I'm on record by saying Colin Kaepernick could have walked backwards into the end zone if he wanted to and not have to deal with that. This is a game planning kind of thing to me because in this competitive world, I mean, Jim Harbaugh wants this game in the worst way.
Yeah. That's funny you mentioned the Crabtree thing. I'm thinking there are people now that would blame Brock Purdy for that loss, even though he was in elementary school at the time.
Where did you have this line now, Ron?
I had the line Baltimore 1.5. So we're close, but the line opened 3.
Right.
Right. So are you taking the points just because of value or how do you stand?
I mean, I thought 3 was the wrong number, and believe me, it's not a big play, but I took it from a number standpoint, and I also took it because I really think that with the belief in Harbaugh, Jim Harbaugh, there's 2 Harbaughs on there.
It's Harbaugh.
Yeah, Harbaugh to you. I mean, this is everything to Jim Harbaugh, and he has the kind of team. I don't know if he's going to do it or not. I don't know if I have a 50% return on investment probability or 50, whatever. This is not a big ROI game. It's part statistically driven, part power rating driven, and maybe just part subjective. So it may be different, probably is going to be different from a lot of modelers. I would guess that Cris has Baltimore as a higher favorite.
No, I don't. I was grabbing my phone to snag the +3, and I'm like, why? I mean, because it's a standalone game. I can just get more points and making it a last leg teaser, or I can start teasers or parlays or whatever over again. I'm too scared to only take the +3, even though I'm supposed to. I'd rather take the +12.5 or 13 or the +8.5. I don't want to take +3. It's too scary.
Yeah. Baltimore has the offensive pedigree to make this play look silly.
Yeah.
And that is an issue. I like that it's on Monday night because actually the Chargers have a pretty good history with far worse coaches on Monday night. And the fact that it's on Monday night, maybe they get a little bit more fan support, that it's not going to be one of those 50-50 games. You were at the stadium, Ted. I never did ask you, but I told you guys beforehand, I thought this would be a home field advantage against Cincinnati. Their fans.
Well, it's been two
travel.
straight games. It was, I think it was Tennessee. Before that, I didn't go to that game. And so that's two teams that don't travel and don't have the great national appeal. So, so it was 90% Chargers. And,
and I'm glad for that. And I think
but that's the only reason.
I think Baltimore fans will be there, but I think because it's a Monday night,
it'll be
I
different.
think the Chargers get at least a little benefit. Maybe not
I
a
agree.
full home field, but it's closer than you would normally think.
I'm as curious to see what Sunday's going to be like. Sunday night, there's going to be a lot of Philadelphia people there to cheer on their team against the Rams.
Possible.
Anyway, but I thought the key there was bringing up the defense and what the Chargers are truly, because they've just done everything right so far, but that last half against Cincy, is that the real defense, or is it just a half against a really damn good quarterback? Well, they're playing another one. So it's going to be fascinating to see what Baltimore does against them.
Yeah, I think the game hinges differently. I don't know what you guys think. I think it hinges on Herbert because it's hard to run on Baltimore this year. And so if you have first half Herbert where he was zinging the ball to his receivers, Baltimore is susceptible to that kind of stuff. Yep. If you have second half Herbert where they're playing a little bit more tentative, protecting the lead, that's a problem. But I think it's up to Herbert to win this game.
Yeah, and those running backs, by the way, of J.K. Dobbins and Gus Edwards against their old team, and John Harbaugh, that's going to be a nice little matchup to watch.
Well, my concern is that McConkey's been dinged up also. It looks like he's going to play, but, he's not 100%.
Right.
That's when that extra day and a half is nice.
Yeah, exactly. Anyway, otherwise it's we're working on Turkey Week, boys. You get can you get it under 79 cents a pound anywhere?
I haven't looked.
Over under 79 cents, baby. That's the big OU for the week.
Tell you Friday when we go out and get one.
Okay, sounds good. Anything else you want to bring up real quick before you get the hell out of here?
Well, we are unsure of when the three of us will return. We've got a scheduling conflict, so we may be skipping next week.
Got a triple header on Thanksgiving Day too, so that'll be fun to watch. If we don't come on, happy turkey out there, everybody. If we do come on, share the leftovers, please.
All right.
Good luck, everybody. Thanks for watching.
All right, have a good one.